Hello, and thank you for watching this Q&A for ACE for Agustin. My name is Jing, and I'm a programmer for the Austin Asian American Film Festival. With great excitement, it's my pleasure to introduce director Grace Simbulan and co-producer Benito Bautista. Hi, Grace.
Hi,
Benito.
everyone. Thank you for having us. We're so honored to be here. Yeah.
Hi, Jing. Thank you for having us. Thank you to the Austin Asian American Film Festival for screening the film, Grace Simbulan's film, and having us on the Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. It's such a beautiful film. We're honored to have your film screened at our festival this year. This film was actually submitted last year, and it was already one of our favorites from last year. And I'm so glad you guys resubmitted this year, and so we get to finally show the audience this wonderful film. So I'm sure a lot of the audience, when they see the Q&A, they've already watched the film, so we're gonna have a lot of spoilers. And if you haven't seen the film yet, maybe watch the film first so that you don't get those spoilers.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
So Grace, I guess my first question is, just to help our audience also get to know you guys a little bit, how did you two start working on this project? Did you find Benito, or did Benito find you? And how did the collaboration start?
It actually all started long time ago. So I met Benito and Emma, Benito's partner and co-producer of the film, also in 2010. Was it 2010?
Yes.
I was doing my thesis actually from college, and we met because they were working together with another creative, and I was working with that creative, and so that's how we met, and we introduced. We got acquainted, and we just loved each other's energy, and from then on, we worked together in all the projects. We traveled the world, and it was a collaborative project ever since.
Benito,
Yes.
what was your first impression of of Grace?
Oh, well, the first time we met Grace, it's like a friend that you've never met, and then all of a sudden you're meeting the friend, and so instantly Grace became family, more than just a creative collaborator. What I find, and also Emma, who is one of the co-producers, will also agree. When I say that the first time we met Grace, we already found warmth, a very warm person, very joyful, but at the same time very curious about things, and also the presence of activism. She is ever present in social issues. So with our discussion, you can already tell, aside from Grace being a filmmaker, that she is curious and very insightful about things around us. And by the way, since we are very outdoorsy, Emma and I were very outdoorsy. Grace is an athlete, and so it just our personalities just gelled. So yeah.
I think
That's
it
awesome.
goes way beyond the professional relationship. We in the middle of making Agustin, there would be a lot of times when I would call them and break down, what am I doing? Am I doing it correctly? Do I have a story? And it's always important to go check on your collaborators as a friend, as a partner, and all that. So I think the whole thing worked really well, and it reflects also in the film.
Yeah, I asked Nito that question, and the answer wasn't surprising. He used the word warmth. When you watch a film, you get that. And sometimes, especially with documentaries, you can tell if the director cares, or what's the director's role in the film. Even though you're behind the camera, it's just such an intimate, warm, it's like both heartwarming, but also very sad film. And I feel like it takes someone with a lot of compassion and a lot of warmth to get access to such a community, not just Agustin, but his community. So that gets to my next question is, was it difficult for you to get access? Did the people, the indigenous people in your film, did they say in like, I don't want to be on camera. I don't want you to come in my home. Did you get anything like that?
So actually the reason why I was in the community was because of another documentary film. It was commissioned by the European Union, and I needed to create a documentary about the mining operations in the area. And because of that, I was introduced to Agustin, because one of the branches, or one of the issues that I delved into was on education. And so that's how I met Agustin. And also I was already acquainted with like the indigenous leaders and members of the community. So it wasn't like coming to the community without any reason. And because of that, I built the relationship over the course of 8 years. And because of that period of time, you get the sensitivity, and you get, you're not only there as a documentary filmmaker, you're also there as a friend, as you build a relationship, not just with Agustin, but with the whole community. And I think that's what's important when creating these types of documentaries, to be really in the moment, to hang out with them, and not just, take your camera out and start shooting. There's a lot of building the trust and building just, being in the moment. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. 8 years. That's insane. And I just like how the cinematography, it was beautiful. It was a lot of handheld camera work, but a lot of it was very intimate. The intimate shots of a lot of details of just sometimes just Agustin's face, or him like putting on the shoes. They're very sensitive, they trigger emotions when you watch it. You really get to learn about this character, and you're like living his life. And I think that's what makes this film so raw and honest. And I think in one of my reviews of the film, I wrote that it's like the film feels like Agustin's songs. It's raw, honest, and beautiful, and it really makes you feel so much feels. I don't want to say the ending. Maybe you can tell us the ending a little bit when you get to the end of the film. It opens in such a beautiful, happy tone. It's very lighthearted, great. I guess just the landscape is gorgeous. So everything seems peaceful, but then you get to know, the poverty there, what's happening with the environment, and and then you get to, I love how you like focused on this one adult's education or lack of education, to show how important education is to change people's lives. So I was wondering, did you know all of that? Like, it's about one man, but it's so rich. Did you know all of the things in your film when you started filming? Or how did you, you said, you were like in the middle of it, you're like, Benito, I need support. Like, when were those moments? How did you find the storyline, like what to focus on?
It actually was, as I filmed and as I followed Agustin, the stories also developed. Like when I was doing the documentary, I knew that, this Agustin story was important, that it was what it was needed to be told and shared to other people. But I didn't have like a clear sense of the different issues that would be incorporated in the film. So like as I filmed, I was also learning a lot about the different issues, about the importance of education, and not just like the importance of education, but the importance of, decolonizing education in indigenous communities. Because we go in thinking that our, our ideas of like city knowledge should be passed on and should be, you know, imposed to indigenous communities. And a lot of times I would sit there and I would learn, you know, observe what they're learning. And a lot of these things, after, if ever they graduate, it just, you know, passes them by because they don't practice it. Like, for example, they learn a lot about religion. But in the community, the students are part of the different religions. So there's just not one religion. And it sometimes frustrates me that they impose these kinds of learnings to communities. So yeah, as I filmed, I also got to learn a lot of the issues, and that whatever spoke to me, whatever values or whatever issues that resonated to me, that's what I focused on. So yeah, there's a lot of developing along as I filmed. Yeah.
So, Benito, talking about the process of making the film, were you part of the film at the beginning of the 8 years, or did you join in the middle of it?
Well, Grace spoke with us about an idea. You know, it started with an idea. And at the time, like what Grace mentioned, she's doing another documentary, you know, funded by the European funding. And so she discovered a community where Agustin lives. And Grace immediately told us about, you know, the story of Agustin. And she said that, I think I want to do a documentary about an aging man, you know, and, you know, who wanted to go back and learn because of, and I don't want to do spoilers, but, you know, and so on and so forth. And from that time on, we realized, wow, Grace, you found a gem of a story. And knowing Grace, we know how sensitive she is about allocating space for understanding the story, understanding the experience at the same time. We had no idea how Grace was going to do it. You know, we asked her, so how are you going to do it? Are you going to stay in a place kind of away from them? And we eventually found out Grace wanted to, you know, and she did actually lived in that neighborhood, you know, and she spent a lot of time. So she, yeah, from time to time in the beginning, before she went on doing the documentary, she wanted to make sure that it's okay to make the film. And although, you know, the conclusion will be open-ended, we have no idea where it's going, she will pursue, and we trusted her. We understand the uh, uh, Grace's insights and critical awareness about the landscape and people and culture, and yeah, and social issues at the same time, and economics. So yeah, so it's very easy. It's a no-brainer. Yeah.
So did you know it was going to take her 8 years to finish the film? Did you rush her in the middle?
Actually, we had no idea it would take 8 years. But you know, when you have a director that you trust, and Grace we trust, we've worked with Grace prior to this film. We've seen how she works. She's very focused, you know. And so if she's not finding something, then she's not done with the film, you know, and that we have to trust, and that we cannot override that decision, because that's a creative license of the director. And so when she says that, I think I am going to close the film, I think I can close the film, then yeah, then we once in a while we will take a look at rushes, and we were in awe. We were affected by what she will show us. So yes.
That's amazing. I'm glad you got this kind of support, Grace. You need that for such a project.
Yes.
So I was wondering, Grace, when did you find, you know, when did you feel you could end the film. It's 8 years. I'm sure there have been times where like, oh, do I have an ending yet? You know, as a filmmaker, I'm trying to put myself in your shoe. Like, so when did you know the film had a good end? Like, what was your thoughts on the ending? I love the ending, by the way. So I would like to hear you talking about it.
So initially, I thought like I would just wait for Agustin to graduate grade 6 and then I would end it. But then I thought it over. I looked at the cut that I did and I was like, this feels wrong, because at the end of the day, it's not always a Cinderella, happy ending. And I didn't want to end it that way, because I think that doesn't reflect reality. And so I wanted to stay in the community longer and see what Agustin does with his education. And when he said that he's not going to pursue high school and he's just going to turn over, the resources that they have, the financial resources they have, to his son, I was like, oh my God, this is a perfect ending. This is open-ended, and it's hopeful. And I stayed longer, and I asked, when I was already editing it, I asked him, like, what are you doing now? And then he said he was a construction worker building a school. And it made sense to me, and I was like, oh my God, this is the perfect ending, because it's reality, like, and it's hopeful. And yeah, so that's how I realized that I have to stop. 8 years is more than enough. I mean, I could always like make it a 20-year film, but yeah, at some point I needed to stop and show this to the world. So
Yeah, and what I love about the ending is everything you just said. And it is very sad to see Augustine not going to finish school, going to high school, but he is very actively building a future for the next generation. And you see the kids at the school too, like all these scenes with him and the kids in school. That's just very beautiful and hopeful. It gives the film some hope. And even with his son, you see his son graduating. You're like, okay, maybe his life will be different, hopefully. So I guess my last question for you guys is that, are you guys taking a break from this 8-year experience, 8-year film, or are you already working on your next project?
I actually am working on a next project, but this time it's a personal documentary. It's a lot harder to develop and to create a personal documentary, just because it's divulging a lot about yourself also. So I'm still trying to process that. But yeah, it's a personal documentary, and right now I'm also in grad school. So that's a perfect kind of break to process emotions, and to think about the storyline and how to best approach this project. Yeah.
Yeah. So we are now about to sign a worldwide distribution for A is for Agustin, for Asia and the United States and Europe, and also the Philippines and the Middle East. And also A is for Agustin is already distributed in Japan, all over Japan. Yeah. And in terms of projects, Emma and I are working on a feature narrative film, which is a genre film, and Grace again will be part of the film. So yes,
That's amazing.
yes.
I'm so glad that Augustine is going to all the places, because it's definitely a film that should be seen by more people. And I'm excited to hear your next projects, and hopefully in a few years, maybe hopefully not 8 years, we'll see your new films. And please consider submitting to our festival again. It was so nice to have both of you here. Thank you for sharing your film and your filmmaking with us. And We will see you around. Good luck on your next projects.
Thank you so much. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Jing. Thank you for having us.